So Spotify just came out with their yearly Wrapped, and the second most streamed podcast of 2020 was Welcome back to another episode of Building AUDEA, the series where I give my thoughts to the world about how I'm building my first technology startup. And today I want to talk about Spotify. But in particular, I want to talk about the most streamed podcast on Spotify, which was Joe Rogan. And that's not that surprising. But the second most streamed podcast was TED Talks Daily. Now, this was really interesting to me when I found it out. So Spotify, if you don't know, every year they release this yearly Wrapped thing where basically they have all their analytics and data come out. It's actually really cool just because I think we all like seeing numbers, and they release the most streamed songs and artists and your top 5 personalized streamed artists and podcasts. And I'm really interested because I'm building a technology startup that is based in the spoken word arena about podcasting and about spoken word audio content consumption and what types of content are people consuming, and more importantly, why are they consuming particular types of content. So this year was really interesting because the first streamed podcast was Joe Rogan, and that makes a lot of sense. He's one of the biggest podcasts in the world and really has been for the past couple of years. But the second podcast was really important to me because it wasn't really a podcast if you think about it. So TED Talks, for those people who don't know, is this big company, nonprofit, I guess, that basically hosts these thought leaders that come to a conference every year, and they give a 10 to 18 minute talk about a certain idea, and their motto is kind of unique ideas worth spreading. So they're always in search for people who can communicate unique ideas. The thing about this being the second streamed podcast is it's not really a podcast when you think about it in the most conventional sense. When I think about a podcast, I think about 2 people or 3 people or just multiple people having some sort of dialogue, meaning there's usually an interviewer and there's usually someone else having or answering a question, and then that turning into sort of an organic discussion, or 2 friends having a discussion, some type of unique conversation that adds value in a particular niche. And because there's so many niches, and because talking has become a little bit more easier and acceptable as a form of content consumption, there's so much of a rise in podcasting. Or you would have the sort of documentary style podcast where you have a whole crew kind of use audio to tell a really interesting story for 45 minutes to an hour. A talk for 18 minutes isn't really a podcast. What it is a form of spoken word content rooted in audio. And I think that distinction is really important because when you think of a podcast, I don't think people think of TED Talks. Now, TED may take their audio of the content they create and put it through the medium of podcasting, just like they put it through the medium of YouTube videos, but I don't think they sort of brand it as an actual podcast. So then the question becomes, why is it the second most streamed podcast on Spotify, which is one of the world's largest audio distribution platforms? And I think it's because people just like hearing ideas from unique creators. This is actually a really important thing, and I was really surprised to see this from Spotify and their analytics, because when you think of people consuming podcasts, particularly in TED Talks, the second most streamed on the platform, I think that means people are going to a podcast format on a audio distribution platform in which they are actively choosing, millions of them, to consume a unique idea pretty much every day, right? That's why it's TED Talks Daily. They have a unique concept or idea introduced every day. And people are streaming those podcasts and listening to those because they enjoy the process of listening to a unique idea every day. And I think we already knew that because TED is huge. They have millions and millions of subscribers, and they're a really big nonprofit or company. But what I didn't know is how big it is in terms of consumption through the podcasting format. And I think that's really important because that means people are choosing to listen to unique ideas from unique thought leaders in a passive audio way without having to stare at the video at the level of the second highest streamed podcast on the planet. Now, what does that say about the platform that I'm building here at AUDEA? Well, AUDEA is trying to become a platform where everyone can have a unique idea worth spreading, or if they have a unique idea worth spreading, they have a native distribution platform that is rooted in audio to share that idea. So this is a really interesting realization for me, that if the number 2 most streamed podcast in the world is a podcast that is just releasing a new idea every day from a new person who had a unique concept or thought that they wanted to communicate through spoken word, and that is getting streamed at the level of the second highest podcast in the world, what would a platform look like where not only consumers could stream millions of ideas from different people that are not like the most elite thought leaders that have access to the brand of TED, but are still able to produce a worthwhile TED-like talk? And what would that look like for producers that have a platform that is built for them to share those ideas? I did a video on this called What If Everyone Could Give a TED Talk in the World, and I'll put that in the description. But the whole thesis of that argument was, at AUDEA, we're trying to democratize the opportunity to share ideas without having to go through a gatekeeper like TED. And that, again, that's not to say TED is a bad institution or anything, but that is to say they are a gatekeeper. They have created a brand of ideas worth spreading, and they really monitor who gets to spread those ideas. What if there was just a platform that was built with that same intention, ideas worth spreading, was specifically for audio? And again, that's why I'm making this video. That's why the second most streamed podcast that is an audio-only format, being the unique ideas worth spreading that TED entails in, is so interesting, because what if that shifted to a democratized platform where it wasn't TED and it wasn't just a podcast, it was everyone having their own profile, their own channel in which they could create their own unique ideas and spread them through that application? What would that platform look like if people who had unique ideas worth spreading, which is like billions of people, but didn't have to go through a gatekeeper, were like, oh, I can create a 10 to 15-minute talk. Not all of them are going to be amazing, but I'm pretty sure out of billions of people, there's going to be millions that have some unique ideas, and distribute them on a platform that is built for that type of audio, because it is made with the intent to distribute that in a more effective way than something like YouTube that's built for video. Or than something like a podcasting streaming platform that is really boxed itself into the idea of you have to have a podcast and you have to have episodes, and that's the way you gain traction. I think that platform would take off, and I guess I'm saying that because I'm trying to create that platform, but my whole point is, if people are consuming spoken word audio content on a day-to-day basis at the levels at which they are, which is what the Spotify thing shows me, I think if there was a platform for everyone to have access to post those same types of ideas and then stream those same types of ideas from a lot more people than the elite TED members, then I think that would be a platform that people would be interested in, because the market, right? And this is the thing about business that I'm learning. The market is validating that this type of product, which is the spoken word content, is a piece of product or content that people are interested in. That means people want this product, people like this product, and my guess is if there was a platform in which people could consume this product at an exponentially higher level, because there's just a lot more content from a lot more creators, because there's not a gatekeeper for them to stop them from making that content. And if the content is good enough, then I think that platform would gain some momentum or gain some traction. So yeah, the Spotify Wrapped thing really has shown me some market validation in the type of product and platform and brand of the platform that we're trying to build here at AUDEA. All right, so yeah, that was just another video of seeing what's happening in the world and trying to make it fit my thesis, and hopefully providing a logical explanation for why it fits my thesis. I hope you guys all enjoyed. If you want to get more information on AUDEA, you can check out the videos in my description, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.